Good morning, Los Angeles. That's right. Normally you get a what is good. No, at 12:19 a.m. on a Thursday, you're getting a good morning. What's happening, black and gold faithful? Welcome to Defenders of the Bank, the LAFC podcast heard in 100 countries worldwide. That's right. That's us, Defenders of the Bank. It's Scarf, J.R. Liebert. I got my boy Philly here. Philly, one Christian Philly Philemon, currently going by Philly Dactyl. My friend, how's the foot? Let's start there.
Well, you didn't incorporate your dinosaur name. I thought we were sticking around with the motif. At some point, I'd like to see a Scarfosaur or Scarfosaurus Rex or something like that. I need to see some kind of dinosaur thing. I don't know why.
It'll pop up eventually.
Well, let me address everybody real quick. Hello, Los Angeles. Hello, lovers of Major League Soccer. Hello, fans of the beautiful game, and welcome to episode 256. Now that I've gotten that out of the way.
You didn't say hello to the most important party here.
Well, that's because I was making sure that you were paying attention. Hello to the millions
and millions
of Defenders of the Bank listeners. Folks, we are not exaggerating. We have been downloaded in 100 countries. We don't exaggerate when I say we're big in Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam is one of our biggest countries that downloads us. It would be the United States, the UK, Mexico, Germany, Australia, Vietnam's in there, Singapore's another. I forget the rest, but quite interesting. And what was your question again? I'm sorry.
How's the foot?
Yeah. So if you notice, Scarf lovingly changed the caption underneath my name to Bursitis Bill. That was a nickname given to me by one Max Brados in the press conference at the conclusion of the game. I got bursitis, heel bursitis, out of nowhere. I got it walking on Sunday of all times. I got worse at halftime during the Leon game. Thought it was just some emotional distress going on. Then after we left BMO for the Angel City game, less than 24 hours later, I couldn't really walk. Then Tuesday, I couldn't put any freaking weight on it. Now I've got about, I don't know, the size of half of a ping pong ball on the back of my heel, and I can only walk on my tiptoe. So some of y'all might have seen me in crutches today. That's the reason. It's annoying. I got that. Amanda's got her knee all jacked up, Terry, messing up her PCL and her wrist. We're one big, happy, bandaged, crutch-ridden family here at Philly Monster Studios.
And Dr. Pepper at 12:22 a.m. over on Philly's side. I've got the watermelon kiwi Celsius going on over here. That's what we're doing.
Need an energy drink for.
Listen,
because it's 12:30 in the morning. That's
let's pay some bills real quick, and then we got a couple things to talk about, my friend. First of all, please don't forget that we are very, very happy to be part of the Flex family, flexpowertools.com. And I keep reminding everybody, a full lifetime warranty on every single power tool you can purchase from flexpowertools.com. Literally every part is covered except for the box that it comes in. So head on over to flexpowertools.com. Not only the official front of kit sponsor of your defending Major League Soccer champion Los Angeles Football Club, but of course, Defenders of the Bank as well. And I want to remind everybody, LAFC.com/Mo-Facio. We got to get this futsal court funded and built for Mo. We've got some fundraising efforts going on this summer that Defenders are going to power through. But let's see if we can get there even beforehand. Look, I'm going to say it. I say we go with, let's see how many $8 donations we can get today. I figure 8 is a nice, small, round number. On behalf of one Runkle-looking Brad Guzan, dear God, 8 saves for Brad Guzan today. More on him in a little bit. Let's just get as many $8 donations as we can. Philly, normally you like to one-up me on this, so what are we going with for the donation?
$22. And that's 22 for the number of shots that LAFC took. 22. Mahala's number, 22. How many shots we've taken? 22. Yeah.
22. I like it. So, Philly, we thought last week when we had comments liked by Jose Cifuentes and Daniil Henry being waived by Minnesota as our busy news week heading into the pod, just saying it out loud right now after the chaos that was Wednesday, June 7th, in the world of global football. I mean, let's talk about just for a second the absolutely massive, earth shattering news that is Lionel flipping Messi going to a team currently under like salary cap sanctions and other stuff, by the way, which is kind of fun to talk about. Inter Miami landing Lionel Messi. What is happening?
There's so much craziness going on in global football. If you go back to Sunday, and obviously we're going to be talking about Messi because this is massive because it pertains to us in our league, but Zlatan retires. Crazy. Yep. He finally rides off into the sunset. Karim Benzema off to Saudi Arabia. That one stinks because the team he moved to would have been the team that we would have competed against had we beaten Leon. That's a kick to the junk. West Ham won their first trophy in 40-something, I think 43 years. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff. Maldini gets the sack at AC Milan. Spurs have a new coach. At some point, Belgium had 3 different league winners in stoppage time. Of course, quoting a lot of things from CBS Golazo. Dude, Lionel Messi, we knew that this was a possibility, but Barca was hot on his tail. Broke-ass Barca couldn't sign the deal. Then, of course, you got Saudi Arabia, who the amount of money running out of that region of the world is just insane. Insane. He was set to make, what, $1 billion over the course of 2 years. Take the money, man. $1 billion. I mean, he's walking around with the net worth of Haiti and a couple other countries. It's insane the amount of money that Lionel Messi has. But then Fabrizio Romano hinting at the fact that, by the way, if you don't follow him, follow that guy. He is the best person for breaking news in global football. It's funny. There are people that even like referred on Twitter, like, who's this guy? What's his source? I mean, guy's got 1.5 million followers, and you're going to ask, who's his source? Give me a freaking break. Yet you listen to the guy who has 25 followers in Uruguay. Give me a break. Anyway, he's going to MLS, man. July 5th supposedly would be his thing, his time in, because that's when the transfer window opens. There's rumors that third weekend of July, he will be featuring against Cruz Azul. There's the talk about him possibly being involved with the Major League Soccer All-Star game. And what we do know for a fact is that we have Inter Miami, or should we say the Inter Flamingo Ibis, on September the 3rd at BMO. And the cost to get in the building as of right now, we don't even know if he's featuring yet. I would assume by September he is. $500 is the cheapest ticket to get in the building right now. Wow.
Look, I have no words for the fact that on September 3rd, it's a very real possibility that not only would I don't care if it's in an exhibition match that wouldn't matter at all, just seeing Lionel Messi in the same stadium as I'm in. I got excited when they showed Kylian Mbappe on the Jumbotron and he was sitting in the Directors Club. We are potentially several months away from competing against Lionel Messi in a match that matters for our club. I mean, what? Guys, I don't care if you think Messi's the GOAT, Pele's the GOAT. I don't know how you can think Cristiano Ronaldo's the GOAT. Ooh, Jared's going to get some hate for that. It's Lionel freaking Messi going to be playing at BMO Stadium against the black and gold potentially on September 3rd. Look, it's something that had been rumored forever last, month or so, month and a half, even last year. They were talking about once somebody discovered that it was Inter Miami that had his quote unquote discovery rights. What a joke that is. Hey, you discovered him. You and like 9 million other people on Twitter. Thanks. Way to go. But look, congrats to David Beckham and the boys. The contract isn't even wet or dry yet from the ink. Neither one of them have happened yet, but there's rumors that he's getting a piece of the deal from Apple TV's subscribers. There's rumors that he's getting a piece of the deal from all of his shirt sales directly from Adidas. There's rumors he's getting a piece of the club or the shot at owning another club later on down the road. Just they didn't just back up the Brinks truck. They opened up the entire bank for Lionel Messi. I mean, they threw everything out at him. Apparently every club had to sign off on this beforehand. It's just one of those things that it is going to forever change the face of a contract in professional American sports, in my opinion, for these super athletes, right? What's to prevent Shohei Ohtani from asking whatever club pays him next, hey, instead of a $500 million 10-year contract, maybe you just give me $250 million and I'll take a piece of the club. Like, it's going to start changing things for athletes. But let's be very, very clear. There aren't many athletes that would move an entire league to change their philosophy like Lionel Messi. Oh my God, I can't believe it's happening. But Philly, let's bring it back real quick as we get into some news and notes. Let's bring back our what moment of the day. Because look, you and I had heard plenty about Lionel Messi possibly coming to Inter Miami. The one that came out of absolutely nowhere, Sandy, Utah lands Chicho Arango. I was shocked when we saw the breaking news that RSL is acquiring from Pachuca one Christian Chicho Arango. Man, do I miss that guy, Philly. And now we get to see him later on in the season.
Yeah, it's nuts. I would have never envisioned him coming back to Major League Soccer and going to a market such as Sandy, Utah. We knew he wasn't thrilled at Pachuca. He would pop into our Instagram lives anytime that we would be filming over at the bank. You knew he longed to be back in Major League Soccer. Obviously at LAFC too, because he was loved here, and he found a home here. He won championships here. He was the hottest forward in the league in his time here, scoring more goals than even I think at the end of the tally, obviously because he stuck around longer, was he ended up scoring more goals than Tati Castellanos before he went over to my Girona. But I mean, 4 months down in Mexico, and now he, at RSL in Sandy, Utah. I wonder if he could get good Colombian food in Sandy, Utah. But supposedly it's a $6 million transfer, which effectively is what we ended up selling him for. And he's going to get his designated player status. He's going to occupy that. And we're also getting a piece of that sale because that was the contract stipulation. When we sent him over to Pachuca, we would get a percentage off of whatever amount that they would sell for. And so he breaks the the transfer fee that RSL had, which was $4 million. He broke it by $2 million. And what they're getting, Scarf, is a guy who's a proven goal scorer. I mean, over the course of his 58 games, 35 goals, 6 assists in all competitions.
Yep.
Chicho Arango is a goal-scoring machine, and one that we could have certainly used against Leon, and one that we could certainly use this year. We rely on one player to score goals this season, and as we talk on this podcast, you'll realize that that's a problem because we can't score goals if that one player doesn't score. But it's going to suck seeing him line up against us, but hang on to your ticket for October the 1st. Normally, RSL would be kind of a throwaway game. How many times do you want to see Damir Kreilach after all? But now you're going to get to see the Moose, and you're going to get to see Chicho all on October 1st. Wild.
I don't love it, man. I don't love it at all. I miss that guy a whole lot. I loved what he brought to the team.
So do the ladies.
One of those stone cold strikers.
A lot of the men too.
Yeah, right. Stone cold strikers. He joins his teammate Andres Gomez, both from Millonarios. It was Gomez who held the previous transfer record of $4 million. He broke that real quick. Look, RSL, it's going to be fun to watch Chicho, man. You and I have a tendency to watch a lot of MLS anyway, but now that we've got Chicho over in RSL, now that we've got Messi in Miami, what the hell?
And did you hear the rumor that supposedly, come January, Luis Suarez might end up breaking that roster too, and then you got Tata Martino coaching them? I mean, Inter Miami is going to, Inter Fort Lauderdale Ibis. That's going to be, all eyes are going to be on that part of that part of the U.S. It's nuts.
It's silly season on the internet. I just read something earlier that Angel Di Maria might come over from Juve. Like, there were so many players, right? Eden Hazard currently looking for a team. Like, he's been rumored to come to MLS. Lots of really, 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 really good players out there. And now, sort of what David Beckham helped usher in was legitimacy to Major League Soccer. I think, hell, we just saw Thiago Almada on the pitch tonight, a World Cup winner for Argentina.
Did we? I thought he was missing.
I mean, you're not wrong there. We'll get into that in a minute. But the only active MLS player to ever win a World Cup is Thiago Almada. I think long gone are the days of MLS's legitimacy question, right? There's just too many players playing on too many national teams now for anyone to call into question MLS's legitimacy. But what this is going to start to do, I don't think we even can understand the repercussions. The world is going to be short on pink dye for a little bit because of these Messi jerseys that they are. I mean, some poor shop in China is already churning out these jerseys by the hundreds of thousands per day. And I'm not going to lie, I may buy one. I mean, it's one of those landmark benchmark moments for the entire sport, let alone the league. And it's absolutely incredible. We do have a couple of other quick news and notes to get to. According to Major League Soccer.com, we've so far, Philly, we are set to lose 5 players to international duty coming up. Obviously, the captain of the Gabonese national team, Denis Bouanga, our 2 mainstays at Ecuador now, Jose Cifuentes and Chiqui Palacios, a player who's been playing for Honduras for quite some time now, Daniil Maldonado. And Philly, I was so happy to see the 5th player on this list playing for the Ghanaian under-22 national team. Mahala Opoku has finally gotten a call into his national team. So, Steve Cherundolo was asked about this at the press conference tonight after the match, how international duty is going to affect things. He said, I don't know yet because we haven't really fully seen the big picture yet. So they'll take care of that in the next couple of days. But your thoughts? No real surprises unless you count Opoku as a surprise, but I think the kid has earned it. Obviously, you and I have gotten to watch him day in and day out, but be ready for there to be some real roster turnover with international duty looming.
Let's just show you that our team is not as deep as we think it is. Last season, we were a hella deep, 2, in some cases 3 deep in most positions.
Giggity.
But we're running very scarce on players. And obviously with the knock that Aaron Long took and Sergi Palencia being ushered off with kind of like me with crutches. And then obviously these kids are going to go off to international duty. And the thing that scares me the most out of all of that is Denis Bouanga, because once again, our offense, we create a lot of chances, but a lot of them still stem from him. I mean, I think over the 8 shots that we had on target today, 4 of them came from him, and he had 8 shots himself, 8 out of those 22. If we don't have Denis Bouanga, this team has proven the inability to score. Losing him is going to stink. Obviously, we still have Carlos Vela as our 2nd leading scorer, but then we lose our 3rd leading scorer with Mahala at only 2 goals, though. That's what's crazy. Our 3rd leading scorer has only 2 goals. And so what does that do for us? Carlos Vela isn't hacking it so far. And we got plenty to talk about there. But, yeah, it puts us in a really weird scenario. And, we can't be giving up points at home, man, and expecting to do big things again.
Yeah, look, I'm excited because it might mean more Stipe Buke and Mati Bogusz. I really like what I saw from both of them today. I mean, if you're telling me there's a chance that we can get Eric Duenas on the pitch a little bit more, I am in. I'm just riding the Eric Duenas fan club bus right now. I'm not driving it, that's for sure, but I'm at least on it. It's going to give some guys an opportunity. Look, it's a really long season. We'll miss them for a couple of matches for sure. The Denny question is certainly one that we have to ask, but for now, it'll be fun for us to watch how these guys do for their international teams that they play for. And last little thing on news and notes, look, we are also sort of kind of an MLS podcast. So I think it's fair to talk about the U.S. Open Cup semifinals being set. And look, I'll tell you exactly why I wanted to talk about it. After we lost to Leon, after I went through all kinds of stages of grief and mourning and loss and frustration and anger, and then finally acceptance, and now I'm moving on. The very next thing I thought about is, oh, crap. Carson's still alive to win a trophy right now. And all they had to do was get past the soon-to-be Chicho-led Real Salt Lake in Sandy, Utah. And it's safe to say they did not. They fell down 3-0. But more importantly, they lost 3-2. So they're out of the Open Cup. They cannot win a trophy. And I'll say this, I was watching it and I was rooting against them because I did not want them to be able to hoist a trophy, because we would not have heard the end of, this is what you get when you play your LAFC 2 squad against us. We marched all the way through and won the trophy. But the thing I really didn't want to see, I do feel kind of bad about this, but I just can't stand the caricature that he has become, so I don't really care. Looks like Chicho may have blown his, or Chicharito, excuse me, may have blown his knee out in the loss. A non-contact injury. He went down and signaled for the stretcher right away. And it wasn't one of those that he normally signals for the stretcher because he's dying and then sprints over to his position in 2 or 3 minutes. It looks like they might have lost Chicharito for the season. The season that has already been apocalyptically bad for Carson gets worse.
I don't wish that upon any player, despite what team they play for or how much I hate them. They are human beings after all. We need to remind ourselves of that.
Yep.
Meaning don't throw beer at them. I don't know if you saw the West Ham Fiorentina game.
Oh,
but
dude, the captain cut his head because someone threw something.
I just don't understand how people can justify their bad behavior. If there's anything that's occurred post pandemic, is I just think we see a lot more of that, especially with social media. But yeah, you don't want to see anybody go out that way. For what it's worth, Chicharito had a phenomenal career, a career that most people would kill to have. I mean, played at Manchester United. He was at Bayer Leverkusen, West Ham, Real Madrid. He's El Tree's all-time leading scorer. I mean, he had an awesome career.
Yeah.
Ended in that manner, a non-contact ACL tear in Sandy, Utah, of all places, against really salty Lake. Whoa, that's like, I don't know, man. That's like Metallica playing their last gig at like an Elks Lodge or something like that. That's the way I would equate Chicharito going out on the season. But no, I mean, that sucks. Comically enough, another POS player for Carson, Douglas Costa, scored in the game, but you know, I don't want to talk anymore about those guys. I feel for Chicharito. I don't feel for the fan base at all. And I blame that one idiot on Twitter, the one idiot Carson fan who was like, yeah, maybe they could break Bwanga's legs during the Open Cup. Well, jackass, your best player broke his leg non-contact, and that's all on you. Every action causes an equal, if not bigger, reaction. So if anybody to blame on Carson's the idiot who made that tweet.
Yeah, look, real quick. It's FC Cincinnati against Inter Messi FC on one side of the bracket. And on the other side of the bracket, it's RSL against the Houston Dynamo, a team that we're going to get very familiar with soon. So RSL, Houston Dynamo, FC Cincinnati, and Inter Messi FC set to go down for the Open Cup semifinals. I'm going to watch it, man. It's fun to watch. I love the Open Cup. There's just not the intrigue that there has been in past years, getting these younger or the lower division teams. Both of them lost in this round. So we're down to 4 MLS teams for the Open Cup. Philly, real quick, let's check in on Angel City. They fell to the Chicago Red Stars 2-1 on June 5th at home. But the whole tenor of the match changed in the 76th minute as Sydney Leroux made her long-awaited return to the pitch. And in the 88th minute, she combined with young star Alyssa Thompson to score Angel City's lone goal to breathe some much-needed life into BMO and maybe, potentially, saving Freya Coombs' job. ACFC's next match is Saturday, June 10th at the Washington Spirit. And LAFC 2 have their next match at home Sunday, June 11th, 4:30 p.m., Titan Stadium against Rapids 2. Philly, we've only played Atlanta 3 other times in our club's history. There's never been a draw.
That's not true. There was a friendly where there was a 2-2 draw.
Well, okay, but that doesn't count. We've played them 3 times competitively.
There you go.
One of those matches was by far the worst match of Joao Moutinho's career. 5-0 drubbing in Atlanta, our first season. Then we got him back back then it was the bank, 4-3 in 2019. And Philly, the 4 goal scorers in that match, how about Adama Diomande, Diego Rossi, Carlos Vela, and Edward Atuesta? I mean,
You forgot
And
one.
Eddie Segura.
Eddie Segura with an own goal.
Eddie Segura scoring for Atlanta United. Yeah. Scored an own goal. I will take all 5 of those guys on my team any single day of the week. And then a 1-0 loss. We gave up a goal to Joseph right after halftime in 2021 and couldn't figure things out. This one would feel quite a bit different, Philly. One of those things. Look, Apple TV brought out their A game, right? Taylor Twellman was there. They had the extra set of cameras. This was a marquee matchup. One of the better teams in the East taking on, in my opinion, the best team in all of Major League Soccer. And it sort of lived up to the hype on one side of it, at least.
It was probably the most exciting scoreless game that we've gotten to bear witness to maybe ever with LAFC. Atlanta United is a special franchise, especially with what they've done and what they've meant to Major League Soccer. Even their contributions to the Premier League and that of Miguel Almiron. Seeing players like Joseph Martinez, seeing them do so many tremendous things. They were a team that we were envious of and a team we wanted to emulate. Dare I say at this point, we've sort of surpassed them in a lot of ways, from valuation to a lot of other things. Obviously, multiple appearances in the CONCACAF Champions League final, but still, it's a team that you circle and schedule, you circle on your calendar because, well, they are who they are, and they've turned things around somewhat. They didn't lose a game in their last 4. They drew most of them, and they have some really solid players in that of Thiago Almada and oh my God, why am I forgetting my Greek brethren's name? Giacomakis. Yeah, thank you, Jesus. It is 1 a.m. after all. They have some pretty darn good young players in that of Miles Robinson, Caleb Wiley. They have an outstanding goalkeeper that, just like Toby Keith, ain't as good as he once was, but he could be as good once as he ever was. Brad the Goose. Used to call him Runkle if you watch the one show. Brad Guzan he represented the U.S. so many times, played in England for Aston Villa and then Middlesbrough for a little while. Phenomenal game. And so, yes, going in against Atlanta United, an important game, but even more so, Scarf, it wouldn't matter whether it was them or even last place in the East, Inter Miami, without Messi. What was important about this game is to see how these boys would turn things around after losing an extremely important final. And just like Steve said in the postgame, it seemed like they shrugged it off quite well. Unfortunately, they couldn't find the back of the net, but they certainly came out red hot and had a fairly impressive performance.
Yeah, look, Atlanta would be a really good measuring stick, too, to see how quickly we could bounce back. We're talking about a Jekyll and Hyde club in Atlanta, right, where only Columbus has scored more goals than they have this season. Columbus has 33, Atlanta 32 goals on the season, which, by the way, is more than LAFC has scored. They've played more matches than we have, but 32 goals on the year. But they've also given up a ton of goals on the year, 28. Only one team, by the way, Charlotte, has given up more than Atlanta's 28 goals. So it's a club that gives back as much as they get. Luckily for LAFC, the defense would be on full alert. And you want to talk about a bounce back game. The bounce back game to me came from a midfield and a defense that after the first 15 minutes or so really controlled every aspect of this match. I was so impressed with our defense, our back line, our midfield. Hell, there were times where Denny Bawanga was tracking back and defending in the box. There were times where Mahala was helping to win balls in the air. It was a total team effort. We'll talk about that. Let's get into the lineups real quick, Philly. Let me get into Atlanta's first and foremost. Gonzalo Pineda, the former longtime Liga MX player, most known for his time at Chivas Guadalajara, is the head man. He was the former assistant at Seattle Sounders. They plucked him from there. The 4-2-3-1 that he rolls out, it remains to be seen if they would rather have Ozzy Alonso out there than any of the other players they played in the midfield today, but he was unfortunately not eligible for selection as he is still out injured. We don't really need to get into any other player in the lineup other than goalkeeper Brad Guzan, because first of all, there aren't many players in the league that still have ties to Chivas USA. Brad Guzan does.
Yep.
Brad Guzan played in this league for a very, very, very long time, coming into the match seeking his 50th MLS clean sheet. More on that in a minute. But look, Brad Guzan is not going to win any beauty contests, and he's not going to win any Young Player of the Year awards anytime soon. But
Or
Philly,
a hair contest.
What's that old song there by Toby Keith again?
I ain't as good as I once was. I got a few years on me now.
I love it. I thought you were going to do the whole song. I was all
But
set.
there was a time back in my prime when I could really hold my own. Anyway.
Yeah, Brad Guzan, it's safe to say Philly held his own today. The back line of Brooks, Lennon, Juan Jose Purata, defenseman, Stanley Cup on the brain. Defender Andrew Gutman. Where did Andrew Gutman go to college, Philly?
Indiana, we're all for you. You.
There you go. God,
he also played at Celtic, by the way.
He did. And how about their center defender, their center back, Miles Robinson?
You might want to slice a piece of,
Miles Robinson is really, really good.
And where did he go to college, Scarf?
Oh, where did Miles Robinson go to college?
Oh, my God, I'm disappointed. 2017, he was the MLS Super Draft pick, chosen at 2 from, I'll give you a hint, the 1987 NCAA Final. Indiana beats who with a Keith Smart jumper?
Oh, my God. Syracuse? No.
There you go.
He went to Syracuse? Miles Robinson?
2 years as a member of the Orange.
I am so sorry. Miles Robinson, my Syracuse card has been revoked for just a little bit, but I don't want it. Eli can have it. In the midfield, Mateus Rossetto, Franco Ibarra, and soon to be a flamenco man, Luis Araujo. And at forwards, they've got Derek Etienne Jr., who, look, I read an awful lot from the Atlanta faithful talking about how this guy opens up runs and makes the game much more open for guys like Yorgos Giacomakis and Thiago Almada and Araujo. Man, there was an APB alert out for all three forwards today. Derek Etienne Jr., Yorgos Giacomakis, who 9 goals on the season for the Atlanta striker. And look, I don't care. I don't care they did a bad game. I did watch an awful lot of Thiago Almada today, so I know he was on the pitch. But that much more impressive, our defensive effort today, considering that World Cup winner Thiago Almada was out there, who is high on many lists for the MVP race. We absolutely stifled them. The only player I want to talk about in the 18 is one Caleb Wiley, who was playing in the under-20 U.S. youth national team in the World Cup for, what is that, just a couple days ago on Sunday. And here he is back in Los Angeles. Caleb Wiley is a player who is not long for this league at all. He is just built different. He is a superstar athlete. And I imagine if Luis Araujo is going places, if Thiago Almada is going to go places, if Miles Robinson is going to go places, and I think all three of those very easily can, Caleb Wiley, who is just 18 years old, he's going to be going places for sure. Philly, I kind of loved the lineup today for LAFC.
I did too. It was a very good lineup considering the quick turnaround that we had. I thought we would see a lot more of the youngsters. Really quick, important to note, Kellen Acosta, nope. Timothy Tillman, nope. Although we did see him in his street clothes, he was straight chilling. No Sergi Palencia, no Aaron Long, and obviously no Maxime Crepeau. Now that I gotten that out of the way, who started? John McCarthy.
And real quick, Philly, if I could just point people to our social media, I believe you put it on there. If you guys want to see Aaron Long's noggin, it's, ugh. I mean, do we know how many stitches yet? Is the correct answer just all of them? Like it goes from like here to, it's just all the way. Aaron, we hope you're okay, man. Sorry. Yeah. I don't mean to interrupt, but you got to get to our social media and check out that picture. It is, ugh.
Yeah. I mean, the stitching makes him look like a character from The Nightmare Before Christmas. It is quite ghastly. Oof. But he's a tough kid. He'll be back. But he wouldn't be back today. So John McCarthy starting between the pipes. A formidable back line that really did a great job maintaining a clean sheet. Ryan Hollingshead, Daniil Maldonado, Jesus David Murillo, and Chiqui Palacios. Our midfield, we got Ilie Sanchez, Jose Cifuentes, who certainly played one of his better games today, and the youngster who eventually would be man of the match, Eric Duenas, quite impressive in the midfield. So freaking happy for him. Then up top, Denny Bouanga, Kwadwo Opoku, a.k.a. Mahala, and then Amati Bogush. On our bench, we got Eldon, we got Vela, Chiellini, Danny, the Pelvis, Stipe, Nathan Ordaz, and Tony Leone cracking the 18. Kind of cool. That's your LAFC lineup.
Just throw in the pelvis there. Why not? I
mean,
love it.
When you're out for like 2 seasons with a pelvis injury, I mean, it's no disrespect. It's kind of funny at the end of the day. I just hope people at practice don't start calling them pelvis. If they do, blame it on defenders.
I was going to say, blame it on Philly. Listen, I think the coolest thing about LAFC, what we're able to do, getting world-class football talent at BMO Stadium to not just take in the matches. I mean, we've seen Kylian Mbappe there. We saw almost all of Juve there. But to have a world-class football player as our honorary Falconer, the captain of English Premier League team AFC Richmond, Isaac McAdoo, in the building to be our honorary Falconer. I mean, most captains of most English, is Harry Kane coming over from Tottenham to be our honorary Falconer? No, I don't think he is. But yes, we get English Premier League legend Isaac McAdoo. I'm sorry, guys. I love that show so much. Kola Bocchini, our honorary Falconer, flipping Ollie, giving us all a heart attack, going on walkabout for a little bit, buzzing the tower in the 200 section over on the east side of the stadium. He flew above, way above my head.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we talked to Ken afterwards up in Founders Club. He was a little shook, too.
He was freaking out.
And come to think of it, speaking of which, you mentioned the legendary Isaac McAdoo up there.
Yeah.
We also had, 5 or 6 coaches from Bayern Munich that we took photos with. That camp that they had with LAFC as part of the Red and Gold partnership featured about 100 or so kids at the Performance Center, and we had Bayern coaching staff there to evaluate them. And one of the Bayern coaches, I'm forgetting her name right now. It started with an R. Regina, was it? Either way, she had played with Gotham FC, just retired last season from the NWSL, but they were there to take in the LAFC match, and unfortunately, they probably have a lot of bad things to say about Carlos Vela's penalty kick taken. But it was pretty cool to see that Red and Gold partnership kind of come into fruition, seeing these kids train, and from what we were told, they had their eyes on about 2 or 3 kids from that little training camp that they held at the Performance Center. So hopefully we get to see more good things to come and more people from Bayern coming into BMO Stadium.
Yeah, look, it was really fun to see. I'm trying to. It's gonna bother me now. It was really fun to see and hang out with the coaches. They had such a cool kind of way of watching the game and looking at it and everything. Philly, I really do think, and I could be wrong. I'm going to look at, you know what? I'm not going to say it yet. I'm going to look it up before I actually say something. I'm going to double check first. I'm not going to say it. Oh no, I just looked it up. I'm absolutely right. Philly.
You're modest too.
You know who that was, I believe, standing up there with us and talking the entire time, right? That was Gina Lewandowski.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No kidding. Well, paint me green and call me Gumby. I had no freaking clue.
Wait a minute. That's going to go on the list. Paint me green and call me Gumby might be one of my favorites that you've ever said. Pretty sure I'm 98.5%
What, paint you orange and call you Pokey?
That's fine. I loved Gumby. Yeah, Gina Lewandowski. Anyway, let's get into the match. We got distracted by Isaac McAdoo and Ollie going on walkabout. Look, the first real action didn't really even occur until the 4th minute. LAFC got a corner. But look, I don't know how hard do we go into a first half that was kind of meh. I'll say this.
I needed 10 minutes, and the only thing I could say that I picked out from Atlanta was a few cheeky backheel passes.
Yeah, look, first 10, 15 minutes of the match, Atlanta got into their offense pretty well. We had some emergency defending in the 7th and 8th minute, decent pressure in the 9th minute. But look, Steve Cherundolo addressed this. At the press conference, he said they have been getting into a habit of dropping just for the sake of dropping a little bit too early on in the match. And for the first 15 or so minutes, they kind of controlled possession, controlled pace. I mean, I said in the 15th minute that Mati Bogusz earning a corner was nice to finally have LAFC getting possession for a little bit. And I kind of thought, geez, we are playing flat. We look a little heavy-legged. We didn't look that good at all through the first 15, 16 minutes. Cheeky picked up a yellow card for a foul in the 18th minute. And then after that foul by Cheeky, after the yellow card, that's really, Philly, where LAFC settled in. And I want to say this. I don't think from the 18th, 19th minute on, there was but maybe one chance throughout the entire rest of the match, maybe two, where Atlanta looked at all threatening. And we're talking about players like Giacomakis, Almada, Araujo. This is a club with world-class talent. And LAFC's defense was incredible today.
They were incredible, but their attack was actually pretty stellar for a lot of the times too. You'll have to forgive me if I'm repeating this. Like I still can't get over the fact that we were chatting with Gina Lewandowski. That was just, I feel like a total schmuck at that point. But something that, would be a theme throughout the course of the game is the goose. The goose. We'll call him the golden goose. Used to refer to him as Runkle to make fun of him. He certainly has earned our respect. I mean, Denny had that shot in the 12th minute that bounced off his chest. There was a crap clearance that Ilie managed to keep in play, and Denny takes a shot from outside of the box. Lucky Brooks Lennon was there to clear that, because otherwise Mahalo would have been wide open to do something. Then you had 22nd minutes, Jose Cifuentes with a brilliant pass into the box. Mati Bogusz there, but the goose is on the loose again. And man, like, he was everywhere, Scarf. And it's funny because I don't know who's right. It says that he got 8 saves. But if you go to Major League Soccer's social media, they claim that he ended up getting 9 saves over the course of the day, which would have tied his career high. So I don't know what to believe, but all I know is Brad the Goose Guzan was certainly a golden goose who helped lay an egg for LAFC and Atlanta United.
Yeah, look, it's all Guzan, right? But the other thing that I want to mention is that it wasn't just LAFC most of the time trying to overcome Brad Guzan in goal. Look, Atlanta was wearing those like mint green. I forget what they actually call the color. I'll have to go back and look it up. But
the Wrigley Spearmint gum kits.
Yeah, I like those kits, by the way. I don't hate them. I
don't like the color green really at all anymore.
No, I hear you. It's not been good for LAFC. But the highlighter yellow team that we were playing against today too, that was rough. It felt like one of those 3-way tag matches in WWE where you never know where the next guy is coming from. The most frustrating part of this match was certainly, as Philly likes to call them, the pretty rancid officiating by Pro. 28th minute, Atlanta goes all WWE on LAFC. I don't know how there wasn't a handball called first in the 28th minute. It seemed like the hand flailed away from his body. And yes, even though the first contact it looked like on the rib cage area, I would have loved to have gone back and seen if that ball actually was a handball. Why review it? It's not like you have a VAR mechanism. And Coach Cherundolo was kind of cheeky, right? At the press conference, he said, yeah, I just hope VAR has a better day next time. That was pretty awful that they didn't look at this ball in the 28th minute. And then the flying tackle that, it was just such a silly yellow card by Franco Ibarra. It was a really bad foul. It took Cheeky a minute to kind of collect himself there. And, at that point, I really was frustrated with the officiating. 31st minute, though, I got to tell you, I held my breath, Philly. I held my breath because of another clash of heads. This one, Murillo and Yakumakis, but Murray is just built a little different, man. He has been
Yeah.
he has been a freight train, and he has been on fire since he has come back. And so he just kind of rubbed the top of his head, kind of shook it out a little bit, got right back up, took Yakumakis a little bit, and that's because he's made of that really thin phyllo dough, unlike some of these other players that are a little bit stronger. Yakumakis was down on the ground several times, whining and writhing around. Good old Stevie Cherundolo had to help him out over by our sideline there later on in the match. But look, it was a frustrating first half, more so because of the officiating than the missed chances, although there certainly were a few.
There were. I mean, in the 40th minute, you had a nice cross into the box by Cheeky, and it looks like Guzan and Murray got into some contact. Murray was furious, thinking that he deserved a penalty at that point. And then the Goose himself, Brad the Goose, we're just going to call him the Goose, out of position. Then Mati Bogusz has a shot, and then the Goose once again lifts up his hands, continuing on with that golden egg that LAFC ended up laying. No call there. It ended up in a free kick just outside of the box. Cifuentes had a nice take, had a nice crack at it, but once again, saved by the Goose. Another corner, nothing happens. Eric Duenas gets taken down for a foul. And if there's anything I can say that the young academy players do very well, is attract that kind of attention to where they're getting fouled. Quite consistently, in a lot of cases, they end up getting yellow cards on the offending player. So that's one thing that Nathan Ordaz and obviously Eric Duenas has done quite well. We had 3 minutes worth of stoppage. Denny with a cross or a shot in the box. I don't know what it looked like. Either way, the Goose is there. And that's kind of it. I think there was a dangerous header from Robinson to Guzan that I don't know, could have resulted in an own goal, but that's it. That's the whistle for the first half. And the story at that point is LAFC with 5 shots on target, Guzan with 5 saves, and he did an absolutely great job for Atlanta United. I mean, if we look at the first half stats, LAFC had 9 shots with 5 of them on target. The LAFC backline was so proficient at preventing their hot young goal-scoring players from doing anything. They only had 2 shots with none on target. Atlanta retained a lion's share of the possession and the passing accuracy, and we were quite proficient at fouling the heck out of them. But a pretty decent first half start and a tremendous play, run of form for Brad Guzan.
Yeah, Brad Guzan was everywhere. I did enjoy the little moment there right before stoppage time where Yakumakis got taken out right by Steve Cherundolo, and he's kind of exchanging some words because Cherundolo probably called him soft because he was. And afterwards,
Cherundolo soft like baklava.
Yeah, he turned his back to Yakumakis, and Yakumakis said something else, and he finally came over, helped him up, and gave him a little hug. I just love Steve Cherundolo. I like the way that he goes about controlling the match. So we come out of the locker room 0-0, no changes made at the start, changes to be coming soon. I liked that we controlled possession throughout the first 5-6 minutes. We couldn't do anything, though, when Brad Guzan gave us his best Tyler Miller impersonation and went on walkabout there in the 50th minute. I love the way that Ryan Hollingshead, and then later on as he brought him inside to deal with Daniel Maldonado or Jesus Murillo, I love the way that Ryan Hollingshead just marked Yorgos Yakumakis throughout the entirety of his time against Yorgos. Ryan Hollingshead had a very good game. He had, to me, one of the more important bounce back games of the entire club today because he was a player who we really needed more from against Leon. He went to ground a couple times, just got all kind of out of sorts, couldn't buy a call when he was in the match, and then got a yellow card called on him late. You kind of felt like Hollingshead was snake bit a little bit against Leon. But he really responded well with the way that he took on Yorgos Yakumakis. Very happy with that. And look, I really loved how Mateusz Bogusz established himself here in the second half with a couple of good runs throughout the 53rd, 54th, 55th minute. And again, we see Murillo really making an impact on the offensive end as well.
Murillo is, like you said, he's a big dude. I mean, I was just thinking that the entire time that we were in the press conference, man. I'm just like, damn, this dude is just Just a big dude. You said 53rd minute. Yeah, Mate making some moves. Shot that goes across the cross, goes above the crossbar. 54th minute, man. A pleasant mistake that led to an LAFC corner. You got Mate Bogusz on the run, and he nearly connects. I mean, he does connect with Denis Bouanga. And at that point, like, the goose was flat-footed. Denny, you want to talk about snake bitten? Our entire team was snake bitten. Like, when I got into the house before we started the podcast, I was looking for incense to kind of burn and operate as Shaman Philly to take the curse off of the goal, because we just couldn't find the back of the net. But he catches a boot to the head. But again, no call there, and a load of horse poop, an absolute load of horse poop. 56 minute long ball into Denny. Thought it was off, but he gets stripped of it anyway. But he's a hungry man at this point, Scarf. So we're thinking, all right, Denny knows that he could have made some noise and helped LAFC in that match against Leon. He's already made a couple of attempts on Brad Guzan and just missed or came ever so close. You would think that at some point he would get in between the netting, threading the netting. But alas, 58th minute, he takes another shot from outside of the box, saved by Guzan. What's it going to take to score against this guy, man? I know he's a U.S. men's national. He played several years in England, but we made this guy look phenomenal. Like, he should get another look-see to play for the U.S. men's national team.
Look, I'll say this. The 58th minute, that was the Denny Bouanga that we needed a little bit more often. He went direct to goal. He's been carrying the ball out wide a little bit, looking for crosses, trying to take guys 1v1 or sometimes even 1v2 on the outside. What I liked about that shot in the 58th minute was that he kind of put his head down and went direct at goal, really forcing Brad Guzan to choose. Am I going to cut off the angle high? Am I going to stay back? He wound up staying back on this one. And the ball, unfortunately, put a little bit more right at Guzan than we would have liked. But that's the kind of direct play that we needed from Denny Bouanga. Just 1 minute after that, Mahala comes off for Stipe, and Carlos Vela coming on for Mate Bogusz. Look, Carlos Vela did not have a good 200 minutes against Leon. He really didn't. He showed very little against a Liga MX team that we know he really wanted to perform well against. I know LAFC didn't score today, and I know Carlos Vela missed not one, but 2 PKs. I know. And those are awful. He's got to put those away. And Philly, I thought it was very telling in the press conference when I think it was our buddy Justin Ruderman, asked the question of Steve Cherundolo in the press conference, and he thought, and he asked it. I love the way, Justin, I got to commend you, but I love the way you asked the question. Rather than saying, hey, Vela's missed the last couple and looked like crap on his last few PKs, and he thought of replacing him, the way that Justin asked it was, hey, as Denny is chasing the golden boot, any way of thinking of putting Denny on the spot rather than Carlos? Really, really cheeky way of asking that question, Justin. Well done. And Steve Cherundolo said, well, we have 2 guys' names on a sheet of paper. They kind of sort themselves. They figure it out amongst themselves. And he said, I expect that problem to sort itself out the next time it comes up. And look, I can read between the lines with the best of them, Philly. That means Denny Bouanga's taking the next damn PK, because I love Carlos, but it's got to be somebody else next time. But that being said, Philly, once Carlos Vela came on, and I think Stipe had a little bit to do with this as well, talk about the offense just clicking. The last 30 minutes of the game seemed entirely downhill for LAFC.
And the atmosphere at BMO was also a little different. Like, I feel like the 32-52 got faster, more succinct within their chanting.
100%.
I feel like everybody in the stadium, like, there was a little bit of electricity because we've been waiting for the captain to show up. And show up. I mean, here's the funny thing. Like, we're hating on the fact that within the 13 games that he played, that he's not really contributing much. But crazy enough, he does have 4 goals and 5 assists on the season. So it's not like he's absolutely gone from the stat sheet. He's there doing things. But you said it. I feel like the game kind of changed at that point. Let's see here. Where am I at? 60th minute, you did have an offside on Vela. Denny Bouanga made a really nice pass, but Carlos Vela way too far ahead of Gutman, the Indiana Hoosier. So gets an offside. And then this kind of goes back to what I was talking about early on. Eric Dueñas gets stripped, but attracts a yellow card, which certainly bodes well in our favor. The young kid being rather pesky, helping collect yellow cards on the opposition. 62nd minute, man, another missed handball, or at least what was perceived to be a missed handball in the box. Brilliant passing by LAFC, but VAR was on a lunch break at that point, grabbing a drink in the field club because VAR must have been so drunk they couldn't even perform today. 63rd, Carlos and Ryan crossing into the box, but that gets broken up by Atlanta. Cifuentes, like moments later, into Denny Bouanga, but that angle was too much on Denny. And then we have a nice glimpse of Timothy Tillman chilling on the sidelines in his street clothes at that point due to lower extremity issues. We certainly could have used the young German today, but, so lies the tale of the tape. 65th minute, Scarf, Denny Bouanga, another ambitious attempt, but off the mark. I'll talk about snake bitten. We were completely snake bitten. And that was another example of us being snake bitten.
Look, Denny had another shot saved in the 66th minute. Eric Dueñas takes a shot from outside the box a little too high. But look, the moment of the match was in that 70th minute. Juan Jose Porata, the penalty, Carlos Vela draws it in the box, in the 18. They look at it on VAR. And just frustrating, to say the least, with Carlos Vela lining up on the spot. And look, the first one, I'll say this, it wasn't a bad spot. It was a very good save by Brad Guzan. But this
very good cheating that led to a great save by
but this little shuffle up to the ball, maybe hope that Guzan starts to lean one way so you go the other. The way that Carlos, look, I don't know the first thing about taking a PK. For everybody listening,
lies. You played FIFA.
If I took a PK, if I could kick the ball as far over the post as Carlos Vela did on his second attempt, that's what mine would look like all the time, every single time. I'm awful. But I've seen a lot of people be successful at it, and I know what I see, and I just don't like the run-up from Carlos Vela. Luckily, VAR bails us out for the only time in the match. Brad Guzan well off his line on what was a beautiful save. So Carlos gets another chance. And look, one of the things we know, Philly, when Carlos scores, he points up to, it's usually City View Terrace, right, where his wife and child are sitting up there, points up there, blows the kisses, does the things. Maybe he was just trying to get them a souvenir today. Because that PK that he took, Philly, it wasn't just over the bar. It almost hit the South End Falcons all the way up in their seats over there. That was an awful PK attempt by Carlos Vela.
You got to question the confidence on him. I mean, he's been so questionable. Anytime he sets up 11 meters away from goal, I don't have the confidence that he's going to smash it. I don't. I think he's 4 for 6 this year already. He might be like, 19 for 26 or 7. I'm not pulling stats out of my rear. I know I'm close, but maybe not as close as I'd like to think I am. Like Carlos Vela it's not an automatic when he's in that position. And I loved what Justin asked Steve Cherundolo because I'm thinking it myself. Denny Bouanga is leading the league in goals. Why not give it to him? He's been batting 1,000 at this point, not to mention he smashes the absolute stitching out of the ball. And I think all of us would have more of a collective sigh of relief seeing Denny line up against Brad Guzan than Carlos Vela. Carlos Vela is slowing down. I mean, we can see it with our very own eyes. I mean, he could still do some tremendous things, but he's not going to be as fast. He's not going to be as powerful. He's got to play more with his intelligence than anything else. But Denny is like physically imposing, and he's confident, riding the high of having scored 10 goals over the course of the 13 or so regular season games in Major League Soccer, and then the 7 games within the CONCACAF Champions League. I don't think it should be a question anymore unless Carlos wants to take it. He's the captain. You show him respect because he is a legend. But at some point, then he's got to go, no, captain, let me take care of this. I don't think Carlos will put too much of a struggle if Danny could do that and show that gumption to take the ball away from number 10.
All right. So according to Transfer Market, Philly, in Major League Soccer, Carlos Vela has taken, what did we say here? I just did the math. He's taken 30 PKs. 30 PKs in Major League Soccer.
All right, so I was up by 4 at that point. Okay.
He's missed 7 now. Missed 7 PKs out of 30.
Okay.
23 and 7 in PKs. I don't know, man. That seems like a lot of misses. I don't know. I don't know if that's bad. I don't know if that's good. I'd have to go back and compare it to some other people, but
you're a teacher. What does that equate to mathematically?
I mean, look, 21 out of 30 is 70%, right?
All right, and that's a what? That's a C plus. That's satisfactory.
76, 77%.
Satisfactory.
It's not great. It's definitely not great.
I just noticed you turned it to Stegoscarposaurus or Stegoscarpus. I like that, by the way.
I told you it would be coming on eventually. So I got you.
And you don't have bursitis. Thanks for reminding me that I do.
I do not have bursitis. That is true. 79th minute, Carlos Vela fails to get back on side, and I got very, very frustrated and yelled about it. And people in
that's
Founders,
what you said.
People turned around and looked at me. I was yelling. I said, I'm sorry, I'm saying frustrating things about Carlos Vela, but I yelled because Carlos was lazy and didn't get back on side. That could have been a big one for us. 81st minute, we're going to see Caleb Wiley come on. And I love to watch this kid. He's 18 years old and he's super fun to watch. So his first touch, by the way, was almost a back-breaking assist. This was the moment. It was the scarf minute. 83rd minute, right after Denny Bwanga forced Brad Guzan to make a diving save. They counter kind of quickly, but not really. They get the ball out to Wiley on the opposite side, over on that left side coming down. And his first touch, LAFC just seemed to kind of pause for a second. It was the weirdest play. And Caleb Wiley just kept hustling, didn't give up on the play, got to the touchline and put it back across the mouth of goal. And I thought it was great. That 83rd minute, it was just, oh God, thank goodness it was a Johnny Fortune on the other end of that. Otherwise, it could have been a goal. I mean, he didn't put it anywhere near frame. But Caleb Wiley, very, very, very fun player to watch in just limited minutes. And then, I'm sorry, 87th minute. What the hell is VAR doing? Another handball, potentially Philly, the third handball missed in the match. Just so frustrating.
I just want to add something to the miss by Johnny. J-Mac, if you look at the replay dead on, he would have kick saved it. So even if he had it on frame, that was going to get stopped, and J-Mac would have had his lone save of the game. I jokingly refer to the movie Mighty Ducks 2 anytime there's no shots on goal, how he plays the role of Julie the Cat Gaffney. He would have made a kick save right there, and it would have been fantastic. But you're right, 86th minute, another attempt by Denny, like ping-pongs off the post. And then it hits the stomach of Miles Robinson and what it appears to be his arm. Nothing going on for us. Pretty rancid officiating strikes yet again. But honestly, even before that, I'm not so much worried about it, the fact that it hit Miles Robinson's gut and his arm. Denny just came oh so close. I mean, it bonged right off of the post. I mean, it's just not his day. He's been menacing. He's been a threat, but he just can't convert. And when he can't convert, we don't score goals. Our leading scorer has 10. Our second leading scorer has 4. Our third leading scorer has 2. That is a problem. And what that tells me is we need reinforcements. We need somebody like a Chicho. I wish it was Chicho, who also can find the back of the net, because we can't just rely on Denny. Denny makes things happen. But if he's having an off night, we're screwed. And these last 3 LAFC games, minus the U.S. Open Cup game, because none of those guys are there, Denny doesn't score, we don't score. Like, when was the last time you saw 3 straight games at BMO/Bank of California Stadium where we scored no goals?
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen that before.
It's the longest streak. Yeah, it's the longest streak in the history of our club. And it's becoming a little bit of a problem. But look, we'll get to the final stats in the game. The problem was just that we lacked one finishing touch, right? We created chance after chance after chance. Especially, look, Sifu comes off in the 88th minute, Philly, and you mentioned it before, and I think you're absolutely right. This was the kind of performance from Sifu that we've needed just for him to be good, like a regular, solid attacking mid that he can be. This wasn't the Sifu of, 2022 when he was attacking and killing everybody. This wasn't the Sifu of even 2021 when he was at his best, but it was at least good Sifu. And we needed that for 88 minutes today. Danny Crisostomo comes on. Why can't nobody get his damn name right? And I know I just used the double negative, but why is it so hard to say Danny Crisostomo? It's what he says. If you go to the pronunciation guide on the LAFC's website, how about a goal almost at the end of regulation, Philly? Carlos Vela to Cheeky Palacios to Stipe Buke, but it was just wide. Oh my God, just wide. And I said, wow, in my notes. And then they showed stoppage time. And I said, more wow. 90 minutes, excuse me, 99.
Wow, they gave us a whole game for stoppage? Nice. So it would have been like that Stanley Cup playoff match like a round or two ago.
This isn't the Romanian 5th division. There's no 90 minutes of stoppage.
We're also not trading players for refrigerators.
That's true. 9 minutes of stoppage. And again, Philly, we dominated the 9 minutes of stoppage, came so close in the 5th minute. We just couldn't make it happen. And I was so worried, Philly. I thought they would blow the whistle dead after Atlanta got that corner right at the death, but it was nervous time in stoppage.
It was nervous time in stoppage because you had that one play where, Wiley created some decent offense.
Yep.
But they still didn't finish the game with any shots on target. 4 altogether, 2 in the first, 2 in the second half. So that is a testament to how well our backline really did control players like a Thiago Almada and a Yorgos Giacomakis. Like, they did a really good job. We did have one last valiant attempt to where we would have all left Exposition Park jovial.
Yep.
You had a play in which where are we?
Stipe.
Yeah, Stipe. Oh, Stipe made a hell of a move. Yeah, that's right. He had a hell of a freaking move, clearing some space, getting the ball over into Denis, and then Denis just fires it, man, way up into the rafters, similar to how Carlos Vela took his penalty kick. And that is how she ends it again. I think it was a great move by Stipe. People hate on him, calling him Brian Rayito 2.0 or Horta 3.0. I don't know, whatever you want to call him. I still think there's plenty of time for him to improve and do his thing. He did play a much better game.
He did.
But we were like, LAFC did their best Imperial Stormtroopers rendition. You would appreciate this as a Star Wars nerd. Imperial Stormtroopers, they take a lot of shots. An awful lot of shots. They pew constantly. They never hit a damn thing. They could never hit the side of the barn. They could never, jump out of a boat and hit water. And that's kind of how things were with us because we end the game with 22 shots. That has to be, I think it was the most. I have the notes for that. 22 shots with 8 of them on target. Yeah, I have most of the season. 22 shots with 8 of them on target. 4 of them coming by way of Denis Bouanga. And again, he is going to have images of Brad Guzan in his brain. I doubt he is. He might be sleeping very comfortably tonight. But Brad Guzan, without a doubt, the best player on the pitch. But if we're going to look at LAFC, Jose Cifuentes, in my opinion, played the best game for LAFC alongside Ilie Sanchez and Eric Dueñas. Our midfield, which in some cases was non-existent against Leon, certainly played well. And our back line did extremely well, maintaining a clean sheet because John McCarthy had nothing to do. He was bored. He made one kick play towards the end of the second half, and that was really it. We played a really good game defensively. We created an awful lot of opportunities for ourselves, but we should never leave that many points on the table at home. You need to win at home in this league, and you need to get these 1-point draws on the road. That is how you win a supporter shield. But hey, We remain undefeated at home along with 4 other teams in this league.
Look, I want to mention one player, and I know it's not fair to single out one player, especially in a night like tonight where you allow 0 shots on target, and the save of the match is literally John McCarthy jumping up to catch a corner kick in the air. That was the save of the match in the match tonight, guys. They have to have one because a sponsor pays for it. That was the save of the match. It was literally John McCarthy, and they must have been so happy that John McCarthy jumped up to catch that ball. Otherwise, they would have had a whole lot of nothing to do. I don't know what you would have called the save of the match. Maybe they would have showed the ball pinging off the post, or as Philly said, bonging off the post. Shout out to the 42s by Denis Bouanga there on the opposite side. But I want to give a shout out to Cheeky Palacios, because Cheeky Palacios is the most consistent and the most solid left back, in my opinion, in all of Major League Soccer right now. And I don't think it's even close. Cheeky Palacios is a guy that you forget is out there because of the job that he does each and every ball, each and every play. The only time I really even noticed Cheeky Palacios lately is when he's pushing the ball up on the offensive end, and he is an outside back for us. Cheeky, if you're not an all-star this year, if you're not playing, who do we have? Arsenal? Who are we playing against in the all-star game? I forget who it is. Yeah, it is Arsenal, right?
I'm sorry. I think that's the lamest crap ever. Going up against one team. I actually enjoyed the Liga MX All-Stars versus the MLS All-Stars. I think it looks pitiful and silly and stupid for the best players in Major League Soccer to compete against one club from one country in one division. God forbid we lose. That also has terrible optics. Right. I like the Liga MX thing. Granted, now we have the Leagues Cup, the Campeones Cup, a whole bunch of other things, but that's more compelling than us going against Juve like has happened in the past, going against Arsenal in the past. I personally think this is stupid.
And I want to throw something out there. I don't know if we're there quite yet, but maybe when we get to 30 teams, we will be. I think the league is talented enough now that we play a little East versus West, or we get, you get 2 players like, okay, next year you change the All-Star format and it's Lionel Messi drafting one team and Thiago Almada drafting another team. Like that, the way they do in the NBA right now. We have enough talent in Major League Soccer to play all Major League Soccer players in the All-Star game. Obviously, it's more compelling for them to be able to fill a giant stadium and play against a team like Arsenal or Real Madrid or Juve or whoever it might be. Sure, because it puts butts in seats.
Worthless.
I agree, though, right? It's an exhibition, but I would love to see just the best players in Major League Soccer. I think we're fast getting to that point. Philly, let's take a look at LAFC in the table. We remain 3rd in the West, 26 points from 13 matches. I can do that math real quick. We are averaging 2 points per match. We are behind St. Louis on 28 points and Seattle on 27, but with games in hand on both. And those 26 points, Philly, put us 7th in the race for the Shield, but 2nd with an average of 2 points per match behind only FC Cincinnati's 2.44. They are on fire as of right now. And look, get ready, guys. We played a game on a Wednesday. It goes Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday. That hurts my soul just thinking about it right now. We have 5 games coming up in the next 3 weeks. And the first 2, Philly, are against the human highlighters of Houston, the traffic cones. But again, one of my favorite jerseys because it is sponsored by the MD Anderson Cancer Center. And I love that they cross out the word cancer in red. Want to again give a huge shout out to Dexter and Christina. Christina is going through the battle right now, and we absolutely love you guys and support you guys and want to do everything we can on our end and send all the good love and thoughts your way. Philly, we're going to do a whole lot of talking about Houston in a little bit, and they've got Corey Baird. He used to play for us. Woo.
The last couple of notes that I want to add, we somehow managed to yet again wrestle out over 60 minutes on a game that had no goals. Hey, we're motor mouths, but some of y'all really do enjoy that because you're on the road quite a bit. So we appreciate your feedback. You did mention it. FC Cincinnati and LAFC were the only two teams in Major League Soccer averaging at least 2 points per season. And we have 5 teams that have not lost a game at home. Us, FC Skyline Chili, a.k.a. Cincy, the New England Revolution, believe it or not, the Chicago Fire, and the San Jose Earthquakes. Crazy. FC Cincinnati, man. I don't know if they're the fan base there. They have PTSD or something from getting struck by the wooden spoon for a couple of years. Like, their fans are starting to get pretty chatty McChatty on social media, as are St. Louis. But we don't get to play FC Cincinnati. We do get to play St. Louis. And I would love nothing more to do than to show the Show Me State who the best really is in the Western Conference. John McCarthy, 5th clean sheet of the season, has only allowed more than a single goal at home once in MLS play this season. Pretty darn cool. And he's now 2 shutouts shy of equaling his career total from his first 7 seasons in MLS. A couple other things I want to take note of is we mentioned the 0-0 scoring line. In the first 5 years of our franchise's history, we had 2 0-0 draws, 1 fewer than we have played this season. Crazy. And then, we haven't played Atlanta United very many times. This is our 4th time, and this is the first time it ended in a tie. So those are your final notes from me from a statistical perspective.
And those are Facts with Philly. The more you know. I love it. All right, brother. Hour and 16 minutes or so, hour and 17 minutes. Before we end the show, it is 1:36 in the morning on Thursday, June 8th. Want to say a very happy birthday to a huge part of what we do here at Defenders of the Bank.
Yep.
One Chris Lafferty. You guys used to know him as Cowboy Chris behind us when we were at 110 Football. He's the guy that wears a lot of chains. He wears a big hat. He also wears his heart on his sleeve. The dude is as genuinely nice of a human being as you will meet. And Philly, you know that's true because you and I are both good friends with him. You can't make fun of me this time for saying it because it's true.
I always make fun of you, but I won't this time.
There you go. He's also a member of the Black and Gold Running Club. He is huge into the volunteering scene at LAFC too, as well. LAFC too, like also as well. He is just a great dude, and we have been very lucky to have met and now to have called Chris Lafferty friends throughout this incredible LAFC journey that we have gone on. So we want to say a very big happy birthday to Chris Lafferty, 37 years old today, which means he's a jerk because he's not on the 4th floor yet.
Nothing but love for Chris Lafferty, and our friendship with him stemmed very easily. It stemmed from him coming out and hanging out with us on Christmas Tree Lane. We never knew him until a couple of years ago, and it just so happened his way of learning about LAFC was listening to these 2 knuckleheads that you have the luxury and privilege of hearing right now. He just kept hanging around. He volunteered his time to help us break down the tent and bring stuff back to the car, the coolers and all that. And lo and behold, we just kept hanging out with him. And now it's just not a complete day at BMO without Chris. I love the kid to death. And I'm sure you've heard about him. We've talked about him. You've seen him, no doubt, in our social media posts. So a very happy 37th birthday to Chris Lafferty. And just one more shout out to Heather Fraley. Nothing but love. I appreciate the gift of the Denis Bouanga jersey. That was super cool. And far too kind. I'm not deserving of that, but I certainly appreciate it. So I wanted to make sure that you were acknowledged on this because that was ever so kind of you. And I finally got my LAFC kit that's got a star on it. Pretty darn cool. Thank you.
You are certainly not deserving of that too. I don't know how that happened. You know, whatever. Anyways, look, hour 20 minutes. You know how we like to end all our episodes. This is 256 with more to come in just a few days. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.